Hello there, welcome to the Football Bloc. My name is Brent, and today we are going to do another preview of a particular player heading into the 2022 World Cup. Last time we looked at Ronaldo. Now we have the other generational talent that has been up there in rivaling with Ronaldo, Lionel Messi. We're going to look ahead to his World Cup, see how he's going to do. If that sounds interesting, then let's hop right into it. So, of course, Lionel Messi, one of the greatest players of all time, and if I'm being honest, in my opinion, the greatest player of all time. There we go, I said it. I think Messi is the GOAT. It's definitely close, but he is the number one in my opinion. But before we get into all of that, before we get into that huge debate, let's look ahead to Lionel Messi's World Cup. Now, just like the video with Ronaldo, there's going to be sections of this video. First, we're going to look at Messi's history at the World Cup. Then we're going to look at his current club form. Then we're going to kind of look at the Argentina team overall, how Messi fits into that. And then we're going to look ahead to each of Argentina's group stage games, and then my prediction for how far they're going to go overall. So without further ado, let's start off with Messi's history at the World Cup. And just like Ronaldo, he started off in the 2006 World Cup. And also, just like Ronaldo, he started off as a talented player in a team full of other talented players. He was not the star of the team just yet. He didn't start in any of the games, I don't believe. He came off the bench against Serbia and Montenegro, that 6-0 drubbing. An absolute monster of a performance from Argentina. Messi assisted one and also scored a very nice goal there as well. And it looked like Messi was growing into the team. He was a rising, upcoming star. People were talking about him in the media. And actually, Argentina got eliminated in that tournament in the quarterfinals by host Germany on penalties. Very, very close. And some people have argued that Messi should have played more in that game. He should have started, and it would have given Argentina's attack a little more, another dynamic option maybe, and they probably could have eliminated Germany and gone on, and who knows from where on. But overall, good performance from Messi at the 2006 World Cup. He didn't play that much, but you know, he, like I said, up and coming star. He didn't have much opportunities, and in those little opportunities, though, he did definitely shine. From that point on, Messi grew as a player for playing for Barcelona, and then by the 2010 World Cup, he was the star of the team in a extremely talented team in 2010. Now, obviously, Spain ended up winning that World Cup, and that 2010 Spanish squad, in my opinion, was one of the greatest World Cup squads ever. But if you're comparing specifically just at player level, player quality, you can make a serious argument that Argentina squad in 2010 was actually better than Spain and better than anyone in the tournament. But unfortunately, they had Diego Maradona as the manager. Now, don't get me wrong, Maradona, rest in peace to the guy, legend of the game, one of the greatest players of all time. He also gets a lot of stick for his managerial career. I think that he actually isn't that bad of a manager, especially when you look at what he did for Dorados in Mexico. I don't think he is a bad manager, but I just don't think he was at the quality that was sufficient enough for the Argentine National Team, especially with a squad that talented. You know, a lot of Maradona's decisions were very erratic. He chose a bunch of players that he probably shouldn't have chosen. He played some weird formations, and that directly affected Messi because he insisted on playing two strikers, and then he had Messi in that central role, and he had him very, very far deep into the midfield. Now, nowadays, Messi plays in that positions kind of out of necessity because he's a little older, he's not as quick, but that is vastly different to what Messi was like in 2010. If you just look at the numbers that he was putting up for Barcelona, just the insane amount of goals and assists, and that didn't really translate into the 2010 World Cup. Now, he didn't have a bad World Cup. I believe he won Man of the Match award against Greece, but he finished the tournament with 0 goals and only 1 assist, and that 1 assist was for a goal that Tevez scored against Mexico, which should have been ruled off for offside, let's be honest. And you can see Messi was frustrated. He didn't have that great of a World Cup. You can tell that he felt that within himself. And Argentina's results reflect Maradona's style with the team. It was kind of chaotic. It wasn't really a solid, sufficient team. It was just, you have all these talented guys on the field. They're just going to score and do their thing. Not really that much organization at the back or anything like that. They had a relatively easy path. They started off in an easy group. They completely crushed South Korea. They outplayed Greece. They also outplayed Nigeria. They handedly beat Mexico. But once they went up against a serious team in Germany, they got completely picked apart. They lost 4-0, humiliating defeat. Maradona left the position after that. Heading into the 2014 World Cup, they had Alejandro Sabella at the helm, and complete opposite of Maradona. While Maradona kind of just let the big players play without really organizing the back, Sabella brought a very strong defensive solidity to this team, and we see the complete opposites of the team overall heading into 2014. Now, it's still, Argentina's squad was seen as top-heavy. They had a bunch of very talented players up top and not so many talented names at the back. But what actually happened at the World Cup was, in a very ironic sense, you had a situation where Argentina was very, very good defensively, and I would actually argue the best defensive team at the tournament, and their attack failed. They flopped for various different reasons. Di Maria was in and out with injury, as was Aguero. Higuain kind of just was out of form. Palacio was also out of form. But that meant that all the pressure was on Messi, at least in the attack and midfield. And he showed up. This was easily Messi's best World Cup performance to date. He scored 4 goals. He had an assist. He also created the play that led to another goal. And Argentina scored 8 goals overall. So that means that out of those 8 goals, 6 of them were directly involved with Messi. And he dragged Argentina all the way to the final. Now, of course, it wasn't the absolute vintage Messi performances. You didn't see him, pick up the ball, dribble past 5-6 players. But again, he didn't necessarily have the freedom to do so because so much of the pressure was just specifically on him. And that's why it's so unfortunate as a Messi fan to see what happened in the final where, okay, yes, Germany overall was the best team at the 2014 World Cup. But in that 90 minutes or 120 minutes of the final, Argentina outplayed Germany. They had the far better chances, and they couldn't take them. Higuain had the goal that he scored that was offside. If he just held his run like a half second, he would have been onside. He would have scored. He missed that one-on-one. Palacio missed that one-on-one. Even Messi had a one-on-one that he somehow missed. Okay, it was from a slightly tight angle, but still, you'd expect Messi to, have that ball wrestling in the back of the net, and he just couldn't do it, unfortunately. And, Messi won the golden ball of the tournament. Again, like I said, his best World Cup performance individually, but still, he was devastated by that World Cup loss. And unfortunately, that led on to a series of heartbreak for Argentina and for Messi. 2015 Copa America, Argentina played well. They got to the final. They lost to Chile on penalties. 2016 Copa America comes around. Argentina, in my opinion, best team by far throughout the tournament. They're just crushing teams left and right. Who did they meet in the final? None other than Chile. And then, they almost had like a mental block where they just completely collapsed. And again, they lost on penalties. Messi actually retired after that. He retired from the Argentine National Team. It was, the lowest point of Messi's career in an Argentinian shirt. There was so much problems going on. There's corruption with the AFA. Just so many things, players not playing right. They were able to beg him to come back, and he single-handedly qualified Argentina for the 2018 World Cup with that hat trick against Ecuador on the last day of qualifying. And even with all of that effort from Messi, Argentina's squad was not very good heading into the 2018 World Cup. The squad was lacking in many departments, and then even on the field as a team, they just did not play well, which I was really surprised by because Jorge Sampaoli, I think, is a very talented manager, but just did not work out for Argentina. They were lucky to make it out of the group stage. They got crushed by Croatia. They got outplayed by Iceland, in my opinion, and they beat Nigeria, but that game could have gone either way. And then they got deservedly beat by France, though they did make it interesting. It was 4-3, and Messi had a mixed performance. I thought was very poor against Iceland. He missed a penalty, and he was abysmal against Croatia. And again, I say this as a Messi fan. He was abysmal in that Croatia game. The worst game I've ever seen Messi play in an Argentinian shirt. However, he redeemed himself. I thought he was the best player on the pitch in that game against Nigeria. He scored a very nice goal. He hit the post with a free kick. And then against France, it wasn't a vintage Messi performance, but he had 2 assists. He played well. He was, you can argue Argentina's best player in that game. Then from that moment on, it was indicative of the statement that says the light is darkest before the dawn, where it was just, an upward slope from there. Lionel Scaloni came in as manager. Argentina had a respectable performance at the 2019 Copa America. And then, of course, last summer, the 2021 Copa America, Argentina grew into the tournament. They played well, and eventually they got all the way to the final, playing Brazil in Brazil, and they beat them with that goal from Di Maria. Argentina win their first trophy since 1993, Messi's first international trophy. And Messi, he really earned it. He was the best player in the tournament by far. 4 goals, 5 assists, more chances created than anyone, more dribbles completed, etc., etc., etc. This is where Argentina are at the moment, and in fact, I think they get better and better with each game. They played the Finalissima against Italy, the champions of Europe, and of course, Italy didn't qualify for the World Cup, so they weren't in the best place mentally, but still, they were playing with some dignity. They were trying to play for dignity, and they got completely wiped off the map. Argentina that was the best performance I've ever seen Argentina play. As a football fan, throughout all the games that I've watched, I've been watching this Argentinian team for years. That was the best performance I've ever seen Argentina play, and Messi himself had a great game, 2 assists as Argentina won 3-0. He was very close to scoring. It was unfortunate that he didn't get a goal, but still, man of the match performance from there. And like I said, in the games between that Finalissima and now, Argentina has gotten even better. And of course, Messi is a big part of that. He is Argentina's all-time top goal scorer. He has more appearances for Argentina than anyone else as well. But it almost is a sense where he's not carrying Argentina. The supporting squad is doing enough to support Messi. It's a very much equal relationship, unlike the past where it's just Messi and 10 talented guys that aren't really playing together as a team. Now it's Messi as the most valuable cog, but still a cog in a very, very strong team. So now let's look on to club form. Messi is playing for PSG now. He unfortunately had to leave Barcelona due to their contract situation, their financial situation. And I gotta be honest, last year at PSG, Messi was not good. That was probably Messi's worst season. He said this in interviews that it was hard to adjust to a new city, to a new team. Very different from season in and season out with Barcelona. He still had some really good moments, but it was funny. Last year, it was a sense where Argentina games would come around and we would see the classic Messi of old. And PSG comes around and you're like, what the heck is this? This isn't Messi. But this season, he has completely flipped it around. In just Liga alone, in 12 matches, he has 7 goals and 10 assists, 17 goal contributions. Look on to the Champions League, a very similar story. He has 5 goals in 6 games, I believe, maybe 4 goals, something like that. But still, he's been playing very well. He's scoring some very nice goals, some nice free kicks, some nice long shots, and he's fit well into this PSG team. Like I said, I mentioned the assist. It's not just goal scoring; it's assist, but also, just the playmaking, the chemistry that he's developed with this team. The hunger is there. You can see it. Last year, it looked like Messi didn't really care about playing for PSG. It looked like he was just like, this team is, I'm too good for this team, essentially. This time around, he's like, I'm here to win. I'm here to win games. I'm here to score goals, to make assists, to help my team win. And you can see that 100%, not just with the stats, but also just the way he commands the pitch. It very much felt like this was Mbappe's team last year. And of course, Mbappe is still the star of the team because, he's French. He's the teenage superstar. He's got the world at his feet. But this time around, even though Mbappe is the one that kind of gets all the headlines, when you look at the maturity on the field, when you look at those who are just pulling the strings, it's Messi. It's very similar to how he was at Barcelona for the past decade or so. Heading into the World Cup, Messi is in very, very good form, and it's very stark contrast from when we were looking at the Ronaldo video, where Ronaldo is, he's not in that great of a form, and it's a sense and it looks like he's just saving himself up for the World Cup, where Messi looks like he wants to head into the World Cup with this form. He wants to carry this great form into this tournament. So now let's look at Argentina's team overall. And, you know, this, I've said this before on this channel, I don't think this Argentina team is the most talented in terms of player quality, but it is the absolute best Argentina team that I've ever seen, even if they don't have the immense amount of stars as they did in the past. And that's not to say that they don't have stars now. This is a very talented squad. What I'm saying is, you know, maybe it might not have the names that 2010 did. Maybe not 2006. You know, you don't have a Crespo, you don't have a Tevez, you don't have a Zanetti, you don't have Cambiaso, Mascherano. But the team overall is much stronger now. These individuals play to each other rather than playing for themselves. You know, you look at the goalkeeper position, you have Emi Martinez, one of the best goalkeepers in the world, in my opinion. The defense, there's some options there. Otamendi probably will start. The experience there is immense. And if you look at Otamendi, he might not be the most reliable player when it came to him at Man City, but he's kind of refound a lot of form for Benfica. Also, when he puts on the Argentinian shirt, he's always been a much different player. Now, partnering Otamendi, you know, they have some options. You have Romero, Tagliafico can play there as well, although he likely will play at as left back. And then on the rights, you have Montiel. You can also play Juan Foyth. There's a lot of options here. This Argentinian defense, it doesn't write itself, but whoever you play, it's going to be a good back line. Now, Scaloni likes to have the same three midfielders throughout all his games with Paredes, Lo Celso, and DePaul. Now, unfortunately, Lo Celso got an injury and he will be ruled out of the World Cup. But it is not as bad of an absence as it would be a year or two ago, as we have Benfica's Enzo Fernandez, who is in insane form. You know, as Benfica actually topped Messi's PSG in that Champions League group, he's also been just killing it in the Premier Liga as well. So he likely will slot right in there, but you can also maybe play Pablo Gomez and Dybala as well. You know, he can kind of play in that position as well as out wide. Now, he is also dealing with an injury, but he should be okay by the time the World Cup officially starts. So, like I said, the midfield, even though Lo Celso is missing, is still a very, very strong midfield. Now, the attack, you have Lautaro Martinez in the middle, no doubt about that. Messi on the left, and then Di Maria on the right. Now, Di Maria, like Dybala, is also coming into this tournament with a slight injury. But if you don't play him, you can play Pablo Gomez out there. You can switch Messi to the right. You can put Pablo Gomez to the left. You can put Dybala in there, Joaquin Correa as well. So this team just works very well together. Very strong team. Messi fits into this team perfectly. You know, it's not like how it was in the past where they just give Messi the ball and they're like, okay, Messi, just do your magic. It's not like that anymore. Now, obviously, Messi commands respect. The team is playing to him, but there is a team around Messi. And also, you can see in this team how motivated they are. They don't just want to win this tournament for their nation. They don't just want to win it for themselves. They also want to win it for Messi. Now, if you look at interviews and things like that, DePaul has said this numerous times, where Messi has given so much to this country that these players, they want to give back to him. They want to lift this World Cup. They want to get Messi to be the one lifting the World Cup. Not only do they want a third star on the jersey, they also want Messi's name to go down as one of the World Cup winning captains. And at that point, if Messi wins the World Cup, I don't think there's any doubt he is the GOAT, in my opinion. He already is, but I think if he wins the World Cup, that's the one thing that separates, say, him and Pele, him and Maradona. It's World Cup. If he wins that, game over. He's the best of all time. So now let's look at each of Argentina's group stage games, and then from then on throughout the rest of the tournament, what my predictions will be. So they start off with Saudi Arabia, then they play Mexico, and then they play Poland. In my opinion, this group seems like a cakewalk for Argentina. Now, I don't want to disrespect these other teams. I also don't want to kind of just brush off these teams, because to make it to the World Cup, you have to be a good team. But let's be honest, Argentina by far is the most talented group in this team in this group, the best team in this group. And I don't think that these teams will really cause Argentina that much trouble. Now, I don't think that's going to I don't think it's going to be pushovers. I don't think it's going to be 5-0 in each game. But I think in the opening match against Saudi Arabia, there isn't really much that this Saudi Arabian team offers that can threaten Argentina. Like I said, I think Saudi Arabia will surprise many, but I don't think that they'll really be able to touch Argentina. Mexico, similar story. Now, in the past, Mexico and Argentina have played each other on numerous occasions. They played each other at the 2010 World Cup, the 2006 World Cup. In each of those situations, Argentina came out on top pretty convincingly so. They also played each other at several Copa Americas and friendlies in between then. Argentina always comes out on top. It's almost a tradition that Argentina beats Mexico. And Mexico also is heading into this tournament with one of their weakest squads they've ever headed into a World Cup with, at least in recent years. It's not looking good. There's a lot of chaos there behind the scenes. So I don't expect Mexico to have that good of a World Cup, and as a result, I don't expect them to really put up that much of a fight against Argentina. Similar story with Poland. Now, Poland is kind of an inconsistent team where sometimes they play great, like when they eliminated Sweden in the World Cup playoff, but other times they play terrible, like when they just got completely destroyed 6-1 by Belgium in the Nations League. And I think Poland's biggest flaw is their defense. Their defense is old, it's aging, it's not really that deep. Now, sure, Robert Lewandowski is going to be a thorn in the side for any defense in the world. Doesn't matter how talented your defenders are, but I don't think that really is going to offset how strong the Argentina are going to play and how strong they are in offense, and how this Polish defense is not going to have an answer for that. So I think Argentina tops the group pretty convincingly, 9 points out of 9. And then they head on to the round of 16. Now, this is interesting because Argentina realistically are going to play either France or Denmark in the round of 16. Now, of course, if something crazy happens, they could be playing Australia or Tunisia, but I actually expect Denmark to top the group, meaning that they'll play France. This will be a repeat of the round of 16 matchup between these two teams at the last World Cup. But both of these teams are in a very, very different position. Now, like I said, Argentina are, on the upward slope. They almost get better with each and every game. They are arguably the best team in the world right now. They're just playing off the park. Every guy knows where every guy is. They know their strengths. They know their weaknesses. They're playing together as the most well-drilled and oiled team unit that you can see in the entire world. On the flip side, France, there's so much chaos behind the scene. Injuries to Kanté and Pogba means that their midfield is going to be lacking, and even the guys that they have, as talented as they are, lack tournament experience, lack World Cup experience. Also, there's a lot of guys that aren't really in that great of form. The French national team overall is not in the best of form. They've been losing a lot of games recently. And in my opinion, I don't really think this French team was ever that good to start out with. Even though they won the World Cup, I think they just benefited from all the other big teams not really playing up to their potential, as I've said on this channel almost a million times already. But I think Argentina will get revenge on France. Now, there is a possibility that they play Denmark because, if everything clicks for France and they top the group, or, again, something crazy happens, because that's always a possibility, then they'll be able to play Denmark. I actually think Denmark will probably put up a bigger fight than France, but still, I think this Argentina team is just too strong to overcome, and they'll be able to defeat Denmark. Now, Argentina's opponents in the quarterfinals will probably be the Netherlands, although it's a possibility that it could be Senegal or something like that. Maybe England if they somehow don't top the group. I don't really think that it's going to be England, and between Senegal and the Netherlands, I think Senegal most likely is the one that's going to top the group and then win their round of 16 matchup and make it against Argentina. And I think this game will be super interesting. One of the most entertaining matches of the World Cup, if it does eventually happen. This Netherlands team is very fun to watch. They're like Argentina in that this team plays very well together, and a lot of the guys are in really good form. Now, Argentina's offense, you would say, is probably their strength. There's you look at Messi, Di Maria, Julian Alvarez, Dybala, Correa. Netherlands, their biggest strength is your defense. You look at Stefan de Vrij, Virgil van Dijk, Matthijs de Ligt, Daley Blind, and many others as well. So it will be really interesting to see the best offense go up against the best defense in the world. Now, I think, if you compare the teams as a whole, like I said, Argentina is slightly better than the Netherlands. Also, Netherlands kind of lacks in attack. Their attack is not as strong versus, Argentina's attack is the focal point of their team, but their defense is still very strong. So I think that, just in compartments, Argentina's better. They'll end up going through. And then, if everything goes how my predictions will go, they will play Brazil in the semifinals. Now, this, as I said before, will be the final before the final, because whoever wins this match will go on to win the World Cup, in my opinion. And for all the reasons that I've said before, I think Argentina will overcome Brazil. Now, they did it before. They did it in the Copa America final, and that Argentinian side was not as good as this Argentinian side is as now. Now, of course, you can say the same about Brazil. Brazil have also gotten a lot better, but you know, the Messi factor. You cannot override the Messi factor, and that is, you know, you can apply the same logic to any of these other games that I was saying before. Even if, you know, Argentina have an off day, maybe they have a few injuries to the squad, maybe, you know, one of these teams comes out with a very good strategy to counteract Argentina's style. All it takes is for Messi to do one dribble or one pass over the top, or for Argentina to get a free kick, and then Messi just, you know, puts it into the top corner, and then next, you know, Argentina equalize, or they're winning, or they're ahead, something like that. Now, of course, Brazil has a guy like Neymar who can replicate similar success, but Messi is Messi. And for that reason, I'm saying Messi and Argentina go to the final, where they will play, probably, in my opinion, Portugal. Now, that's not a definite. I think that that is the final that the people want. And as I said in my other video, yes, it's kind of wishful thinking on my part to won an Argentina versus Portugal final, which would be the absolute game of the century, Messi versus Ronaldo. If Portugal don't make it to the final, you know, there's some other options there. You know, maybe a team like Germany or Spain, depending on where Germany or Spain finish in their group. England is a possibility as well. Maybe even a team like Denmark. But I think it will be Portugal. And, you know, as I said before in my Portugal and Ronaldo video and in my other predictions, I don't think that this Portuguese team is going to play very well. They have a very, very talented squad, but the team, they just don't play well together. The manager is not the best manager, or at least not the best guy for this team specifically. And I think that the way that they'll get to the final is kind of just through scrappy play, like kind of how that they won the Euros. If they concede a goal, if they concede a lot of goals, they'll find ways to score more. They'll take it to penalties. They'll take it to extra time, things like that. And, you know, I don't think that will be enough to overcome Argentina. Now, again, in the final, anything could happen. It is a very crazy tournament. I mean, you know, the World Cup is just, you know, filled with miracles, filled with surprising moments. And Portugal was able to use that, you know, very pragmatic, very chaotic style to win the Euros, but I just can't see past Argentina. Again, the Messi factor, but also Argentina overall are just a much stronger team, a much more well-rounded team in every department than Portugal. Even if, you know, you can argue Portugal have a slightly more talented squad. I don't know if I would really agree with that, but you know, it's a valid argument. But there is no question that Argentina has the better team. So you're hearing it here. I think that Messi will win his first World Cup. I think Argentina will win their third World Cup. And I think that means Messi is the GOAT, best player of all time. I think come December 16th, whenever the final is, it will be Argentina's name written on that trophy. It will be Lionel Messi lifting the World Cup trophy in 2022, and this World Cup will be in Argentinian hands. The first World Cup since the days of Diego Maradona in 1986. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Do you think I'm biased? I'm overrating Messi? Do you think I'm overrating this Argentinian team? You know, do you think that there are some flaws that I'm overlooking? Do you think that Messi is he's going to burn out because he's been playing so well for PSG that it's not going to really work out at the World Cup. And remember, he said that this is going to be his last World Cup, so all those players are going to be motivated to win it for him. But what if all that pressure just comes collapsing in on themselves and they, fall apart? Do you think that the injury to Di Maria and Dybala, even though they're in the squad, they might not be 100%, do you think that will affect this Argentinian team? Do you think that, in the moment against, like, say, Brazil in the semifinal, that's going to make the difference? Let me know what you think. Do you think Messi's going to win the World Cup? Also, do you think that Messi is the best player of all time? And if you don't, do you think if he wins the World Cup, that changes it for you? Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video with a friend. And remember, I'm Brandon. This has been Football Bloc. I hope you guys have a nice rest of your night.